Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Mik'd. Today is Wednesday, August 13th. We're back like we never left. Took a little bit of a hiatus. I had a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity last week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, which is why we did not have our show. We were supposed to have our show on Monday, but Lloyd was blowing chunks. It's been going around. Get it out now before football season goes. So no show on Monday because of that, but now we're back here on Wednesday. A lot to talk about. A lot of stuff has happened in the sports world, specifically around LSU. Over the end of last week, you thought that the worst case scenario had happened. A lot of, I guess,
conjecture,
aggressive rumors.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
the
very uncircumstantial. Is it uncircumstantial? No.
Unverified.
Unverified rumors come out right before the season that Nussmeier had a serious knee injury because he limped off the field. And initially they said carted off the field, and they said limped off the field. Made every LSU fan made their stomach drop. They felt like it was like, no, here we go. This can't happen. That is not what happened. Nussmeier was back at practice a couple days later. Just a little bump in the knee, a little bruise there. He's good to go. He's back on the field, ready to rock and roll. So disaster averted there. Obviously, you're 2 weeks away from the start of college football season. This is where everybody holds their breath and hopes everybody is in a good spot going into game one because it is a big one. We'll talk about the LSU-Clemson game a little bit. We'll talk about how fall camp has looked so far. Zack Ngi is coming on the show from Sports Illustrated covering LSU. He will be on the show at 7 o'clock talking about what he's seeing and hearing around the fall camp. We'll talk to Lloyd, who's been there, boots on the ground at fall camp. He's been talking about this in the morning on Tingle & Co. ad nauseum, so he's very well versed in what's going on with LSU. Talk about what we're optimistic about, talk about what we're worried about, especially going into game one, but a lot to talk about. What else happened over the weekend was the Saints played their first preseason game. Everybody was very anxious to see our new quarterback and see what the offense looks like. It still looks like it stinks. A couple good throws here and there. Obviously, first preseason game, you don't want to put too much stock into it. But, boy, the defense better be the number one defense in the NFL because it doesn't look like the offense is clicking on all cylinders. We shall see how that plays out. But, like I said, only first preseason game. You got a couple more left before the first game of the regular season happens. AP poll officially came out. LSU is 9. Clemson is 4. We talked about that before the show. Feels like Clemson, if you go look at the teams ahead of them, it feels like Clemson probably should be 1, at least 2. Right? I think Jared thinks they should be above Penn State. I don't disagree with him. I agree with him. I think there's an argument they could be number 1 based off everything they have returning. Really, really good front seven. Maybe the best in the country. Out of all the returning quarterbacks and all of the hype of the quarterbacks, Nuss and Klubnik have the best numbers coming back. Right? Klubnik had even better numbers than Nuss. I think he threw 36 touchdowns, only threw 6 interceptions. So there's an argument for Clemson to be number 1. They come in at number 4 as a top 10 matchup. Game 1 of the season in Clemson, which obviously everybody already knows about. Everybody's been talking about. But we are 17 days away from that game, and it can't get here.
Quick, 17 LSU.
Soon enough, huh?
Number 17 for LSU.
What?
It was the number 17
Who
for
isn't?
LSU.
Morris Claiborne.
Nice.
Who are you gonna say?
Doesn't matter.
Who are you gonna say?
I didn't know. I was like, wait, what are you asking? Like, historically?
Oh, Jonathan Zenon. That's a good pull. Brobridge, isn't he? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brobridge.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, 100%.
Brobridge.
I just didn't know where you were going with that. I was like,
yeah, me either. I didn't know what he was. I didn't know what he was saying. But we are back. I want to talk about my experience. I want to thank Brandon Landry for the invitation last week. Troubadour Golf Club in Nashville, Tennessee, is fantasy land for
Adults.
Adult golfers.
Adult male kids.
I mean, it is. If you've been on a golf course, on a golf trip, or in this nice area, and you've thought of something, oh, this would be really cool if this place had it. They had it, right? And great group of guys. Felt very, very lucky that I was included in this trip, and very grateful that I was able to experience that because it was once in a lifetime. Hopefully not once in a lifetime. Hopefully I get to go back. But it was great. And I played pretty good golf. There was one day I didn't play great, but not as bad as I could have played. Right? Grinded it through. Other two rounds were good. So that's where I was last week, and I'm glad to be back. Glad to be back on the show. Lloyd, how have you been? I know you're recovering from your illness.
Better now than ever. Somehow, I mean, maybe it's just because I'm committed to the game.
Did you get your Adderall back?
Yes, that might have been part of the problem.
Well, you're very you're not the most healthy person in the world when it comes to like.
I'm off schedule a lot.
Eating and making sure you're hydrated and getting sleep, and you don't really do any of those things.
No, and at some point it gets me like every 2 months. I get got by the not reading the back of the bottle, and so I'm learning.
What happened?
It was enough of a scare to be like, if this is it, this is it. But I'm learning. I drank water.
You thought you were dying.
I think I could have been dying.
So you're telling me that it's not. That wasn't it.
That wasn't it.
No.
That wasn't the way he goes out.
No.
That wasn't the way he goes out.
But I didn't have a lot of fight in me, which was also concerning. I just like, this might be.
You just gave up.
I gave up.
You folded.
Yeah, I was like, if it happens, it happens.
I'm okay to be done.
If I don't wake up, that's okay. I was like, I've lived a good life.
That's not the way to go about it. But look, we're glad you're here.
I fought until the very end, and I was like, it feels like it's over. And I was like, this could be good or bad.
There was no end.
Yes.
You know, there's a new beginning.
I woke up this morning. I was like, I'm back, ready to fight again.
And I love
Where's
that.
the Adderall?
I love that. And you're back in there. Look, your personality's back. I love that. You sound great. Jared, how was your? I guess it was about a week, a little bit of a week since our last show. How have you been? How was your? You've been calling games all over the place.
You've been playing games.
You've been playing games. You were. I didn't even know. You didn't even let the boys know you were.
About that already.
You didn't even let the boys know you were going to be a party animal over the weekend at Baton Rouge.
Well, you wasn't in town, so I didn't. Well, I was expecting you not to be. I didn't realize you were already back already. I had a little bit of a break. Kind of got a little week to kind of bounce back in terms of, or at least from my other job, if you will.
Yeah.
Got a little bit of a week to kind of do one job, right? And then over the weekend, I got a call and said, hey, why don't you come have an at-bat for the Party Animals when they play the Texas Tailgaters in Alex Box Stadium? So I said, say less, fam, I'm there.
There's a few of y'all.
Went, had an at-bat. It was a good time. I think I had 4 or 5 pitches, fouled off 2 or 3, struck out. But this motherfucker also threw me goddamn sliders.
Lefty sliders.
Lefty slider. Look, bro, I get it. It's an at-bat. You want some bragging rights too? I thought it was a show, so I was expecting some heaters. Hey, here's my nuts. Here's your nuts. Like, what you gonna do with it? It didn't really happen that way. He chose to throw some sliders, and I fouled them off, or one of them off, I believe. But
I mean, that was the first time you've seen a slider in what, 4 years?
I haven't seen a pitch since 2022.
Yeah.
And I took like 15 swings in jeans in the cage with Mike Fontenot in the second inning of the game, and then, hey, here we go. So,
Let me ask you this. Do you have a walkout song or anything?
I don't remember what they played because they had some other stuff going on, but I don't remember it being what I told them to play, so I don't think that it was at all.
If you would have hit a home run, what would you have done?
Run the bases backwards.
Would you have pimped it? Did you have something in your head like, hey, if I hit a home run, I'm gonna
You thought it was a show.
That's what I'm asking. I'm like, what was going to be your showman?
Oh my God. I don't know. I didn't have anything like premeditated, but I guarantee you it would have been worth the price of admission. I promise you.
It was you. It was Fontenot, and who was the third?
No, so it was just me and Fontenot on Saturday night, and then on Friday they played 2 games. They played Friday night and they played Saturday night.
Right.
On Friday night it was Cade Beloso and Ryan Terrio. On Saturday night it was Mike Fontenot and myself.
Did anybody did any of y'all 4 get a hit?
I don't know what they did on Friday night. I'm not sure.
Fontenot almost got one.
Fontenot hit a line drive that should have been a double down the right field line, but as told to me by 3 or 4 different people in the dugout, that's the highest they've ever seen that guy jump. So apparently they have it to where I would want that feather in my cap to say we got this out.
Yeah.
As opposed to it being more of a show, which is what I thought.
Hey, the double down the right field line, it's very on brand for Mike Fontenot from when I played with him. That was his deal. Let me hit this line drive over the first baseman's head down the right field line for a double. But great experience. I wish I was there to see it. I was not there, but I saw video. And look at this. Look at Fontenot. And that's Terrio. That's Beloso. Beloso, only guy that went undershirt.
Oh. Look at this.
Oh, I love that.
Undershirt over here.
I love that. Was that your idea or their idea?
No.
Oh, look at that.
Wow.
That was a great play. And Fondo threw his
I
helmet.
didn't even know that they have that. No, that was definitely their idea. I didn't know they even had that thing.
What a play by the first baseman. Another LSU guy, Zach Watson,
Yeah,
on
made the flip catch.
on the Party Animals.
Yep.
There's Beloso.
Actually, no, I think Zach was playing for the Texas Tailgaters.
Oh,
I
the Texas Tailgaters.
I believe so. They have plans for expansion. I think they're trying to get to 6 teams in that league. Probably all play around 60, 70 games a year. And obviously they'll do the same traveling. So like,
Oh, Beloso didn't even take the bat off his shoulder.
I mean, that's how he made his head.
He didn't swing at all?
I think he swung the first pitch. Oh, he came out hacking. I like that.
Yeah, I knew that you were gonna say some shit.
I like that. Oh, good swing.
Can't believe he threw you sliders.
Fouled it off. Was that off the shin?
No, come on.
Oh, I don't know. It came in on there. I didn't know. Oh, yeah. Oh, but between the legs. That was great.
Nice. He went slider.
Good located slider there. That was nice.
I know you
That
called
was
it.
nice.
I see him in the streets. I'm going to tell him that too.
Oh, I know you.
Arms look good. Arms look good.
I know you walked away going, "You's a bitch."
Well, that was a great weekend, great experience. I'm glad you got to do that.
Yeah, it's cool, man. Popped in. Made a quick trip to Baton Rouge and kind of right back out. And honestly, all got put together pretty much the last minute or two. So
yeah. Well, good. That's fun, exciting. I wish one of the boys would have got a knock, but it is what it is. It happens, and we go and move on. Let's speaking of move on. Before we move on, football season. I said 17 days away from the first game. For the first game for LSU, on the road in Clemson. A lot of people going to that game. Supposed to go to there's a battle between the real Death Valley and what's the real Death Valley and what's not the real Death Valley. Clemson thinks it's their real Death Valley. All of that kind of stuff. Obviously, that's been very well documented. What better way to show that they are not the real Death Valley than for the LSU fans to show up there in all of their purple and gold LSU attire? And what better place to get your purple and gold LSU attire than Alumni Hall, which is located in Perkins Row, right? Very, very nice store. They've got everything that you can possibly imagine to outfit yourself for the football season, or basketball season, or baseball season. Any way you want to support LSU, they've got that. They've got toddlers. They've got women's clothes. They've got men's clothes. They've got the big and tall. If you're a hefty gentleman or just extremely tall gentleman, they have those for you. They have jerseys. They have coaches. They have whatever the players and coaches are wearing, they have available for you at Alumni Hall. And for every $150 you spend there, you get $10 of hall cash to use later on. Obviously, if your wife or girlfriend is like my wife, she's got to have an outfit for every week, right? Can't repeat outfits. So those $10 of hall credit will really come in handy whenever they go in there every week and start buying new clothes. And, you can potentially get some dollars off of your next order. Also, if you're an LSU student, if you're faculty, if you're military, first responder, you get 10% off always of anything from Alumni Hall to represent the Tigers in the way that you want to represent them. Look, if you want the overalls, they got them. If you want the tie, they got them. They got jackets. They got rain gear. They got jerseys. They got they don't have the Tiger. Can't get that, I don't think.
It's all about inflatables.
Right. But they've got, they got the golf shirts. They got the hoodies. They've got everything that you could possibly imagine. And they have it there. And what you see there is what you're going to see on worn by the players and the coaches. So Alumni Hall, located in Perkins Row. Go give them a look. Brands, Nike, Champion, Columbia, Peter Millar, and way more than that. So whatever you like, whatever your flavor is, they have it. So we were very, very happy, proud to be sponsors and partners with Alumni Hall for this football season and beyond. Okay. With that being said, let's talk football. Let's talk turkey. Zack Ngi's coming on at 7. Lloyd, you've been boots on the ground for a little bit, blowing chunks in the trash can at practice and watching practice.
That's how I do it.
Give me your I know we've talked about this a couple weeks ago, but give me your take over the last, since the last conversation we had, which is about 10 days ago, or a week ago, on what you've seen at practice. Has it been same as what you've seen? Has it just been progressing? Has somebody else stood out? Has somebody kind of turned the corner? Give me your assessment of what you've seen.
No, I think it's been, I don't want to say more of the same. You've seen some. My biggest takeaway is the reaction to how these practice reports come out, right?
Right.
And it's because people are so, and this is credit to LSU for giving the media as much access as they have. We talked to Jacques, and he said the same thing in his 30 years of covering LSU. It's like, this is as much access as I've ever had to be able to, may not be with the camera, but to be able to watch and take notes and give takeaways from a practice. That's something that used to be 15 minutes, get the fuck out.
Is that because you think the staff's very proud of the team they have?
I don't think they have much to hide.
Okay.
Like, they're not, it's not like you're going to pick up on schematically or what they want to do, but you get to see those guys run around. It's like, it's very easy to come away with a positive impression. After that, it becomes, okay, who's winning the battle? Is it actually the offense is this much better, or the skill players on the offensive side that much better than the defensive side? Oh, wait, no, you come back, the defense has won the day. Maybe it turns out they're both pretty good. And that's where, like, people want a storyline. They want something to find. I think that's why the Nussmeier news hit so hard, because there's not a lot coming out of camp that's negative.
Right.
And then you start focusing on, if there's one.
The media is going to find something negative, right? They got to create storylines.
And if there's one, it's the offensive line. Because of what happened last year, how you weren't able to run the football. My takeaway from it is, yes, you are facing a very good defensive line in Clemson. You're also facing a very good defensive line at your LSU football practices every single day. But if people are still concerned about running the football because of the situations that you hear where LSU's on the 5 and they get stuffed 3 times and they have false starts and all this and they snap it over somebody's head and they run it back 90 yards, my takeaway is, like, they're putting them in that position to get better. Like, now you don't want to see penalties. You don't want to see a snap go through your hands.
But what you mentioned was, in that situation that you're highlighting right now, Nussmeier was not on the field.
Right.
Because it seems like it was a very conscious effort by the offensive coaches in saying, hey, we're here on the goal line. We've got to figure out how to get this in. We're working on different things and different formations and different personnel. And so this is the time to work on that. We have a really good defensive line. We have a really good front 7. And so we're in the 5-yard line and in. We're in the goal line. We're going to run this in. And the defense knows that.
That's what I think it was set up to, where there's no chance in hell they're throwing the football here. So the infant, like, what do they say, like, pin your ears back? They were playing for the run. First play, Harold Perkins sneaks through and blows it up. Like, if you give him an advantage with his ability and speed, he's a tough guy to stop.
Right.
And then you see LSU bring in I believe it was Juwan Johnson at quarterback. And then they automatically get a false start because of the cadence, how they're running. They're trying to use him in different ways, which that's what I think they're working on, is ways to score in the red zone that they weren't able to do last year. And this is when you're throwing the football off the table. Then you have Caleb Jackson lined up as a de facto Wildcat quarterback.
Missed the snap,
goes over his head. Monster Delane sprints behind him, takes it 90 yards the other way.
Right.
Like, everybody would look at that totality and say, they can't run the ball at the goal line. Defense knows it's coming. You're working on things that you still have 17 days to get ready and use. I think that's like not oh my God, what are they going to do? I think people are scarred by the past of what they saw last year.
And I want to defer this to Jared, because he's been the only one out of us 3 that has been in that situation, going into a season of saying, hey, we're going to work on this. Hey, the offense may be at a disadvantage because this is what we're trying to do, but it's going to get them better. So, Jared, I'm deferring to you. In these situations, how common is that of saying, hey, we're in this, goal line part of practice, and we are going to run the ball down their throat. This is what we're trying to do, so it's mano-a-mano, and defense knows it's coming, offense knows it's coming. It's up to the offense to figure it out. More times than not, the defense is going to win that battle. I'm asking you from experience, how common is that, and is that something for the media and fans alike to be worried about?
Well, it's super common, and I'll tell you why. There's a couple of reasons why it's common, or why you would expect a pretty good defense. So as I'm listening to this whole conversation, like, first off, let me just give you this. My first thought was, with the jump, I know it's hard for us to sit here and say that this is the 2005 through the 2015 LSU defense, if you even want to go that far, but let's take it that 10-year span. I know it's hard for people to sit here and say, like, that's what we're looking at defensively, but can it be, especially if you get like real production. I don't know about, I don't even want to say top end production. I don't even know exactly where he's going to play, how they're going to use him. But if you get like legitimate production from Harold Perkins, could this defense be taking another jump forward? And like that jump forward now puts you in like the top 20-ish defenses in the league.
Right.
If you make a similar jump that you had last year.
Right.
Right. So like as I'm hearing all these things, I'm wondering if that defense is closer to that, or if it's closer to what we had last year. Now, here's the second part I'll go with. People don't understand this, but as you go through practice periods, before you even get out on the field, you show up to the day, you go and do your team meeting, then you go into individual meetings where you're watching film and you're doing all this. You know what also gets passed around to make sure everybody understands what's going on? Anybody get a guess?
I know it is, but Lloyd?
Yeah, the itinerary for the rest of the day, what practice is going to look like.
Your practice script.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know how many periods are in the practice. You know where the practice is supposed to end at. Like, those are the things that are passed around. So, when we get to that spot where it's goal line, we know that it's goal line. Now, here's the second part to it, too. People don't understand. When you get into tight, condensed spaces and you also basically kind of take out the pass and it's not really that going on, and you're playing thud, meaning you're not tackling them to the ground, the defense always really should look like they won the rep.
Right.
Because what happens in those small spaces is that second effort, that one broken tackle, that one guy you maybe make a miss and he doesn't get a hand on you, the one or two you run through that gives you the extra 3 or 4 yards. Like, those are the things that happens in those space for you to win those reps. Well, if you're thudding, we never get into the ground.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you prep or if you didn't.
Right.
And that's kind of what happens in those spaces. So, like, if you got a good defense, for the most part in those situations, it should look like they dominate.
Correct.
Just truth be told.
Correct. And look, and that's like the defense usually is ahead, especially when you have some new offensive pieces. The defense is going to be ahead of the offense early on in fall camp. That's just the way it works. The way the practices is scripted, and so that doesn't bother me as much, right? Because I think that the defensive front seven is a lot now. Over the last years, it's been different, right? Oh, the offense has been dominating. The offense looks really good. They're going to score a bunch of points, put a bunch of yards. That's because the defense stunk. They didn't have people to stop them. They didn't have the depth. They didn't have the ability to stop them consistently. It's not the same way this year. They have depth. They have guys. You have your defensive line with the guys that have transferred in. I mean, they say Bernard Gooden is a guy. Like, we've talked about it, about the transfer. He was the second transfer portal window, so it was kind of a last-minute addition. He has hit the ground running, and I know Blake Baker has talked a lot, very highly about him. And here's a little clip of Blake Baker talking about Bernard Gooden.
Yeah, I love. That was a great pickup. Bernard Gooden has been a joy in every sense of the word to coach. He is high energy. Y'all probably hear him more than anyone on the field. But in today's game, you even look in the NFL, there's not many, a lot of really, really successful defensive tackles are going to be between 280 and 305 pounds. The thing that he does really well, because he is so twitchy and has such good get off, his second foot's in the ground before the offensive lineman. So even though he might be giving up 30 pounds, he's able to get leverage and get power, and the offensive lineman doesn't have his second foot in the ground. So, one of the things that we did through the evaluation process, obviously being an undersized guy, is really evaluate him hard against the run. And we really liked what we saw, and we really, really like what we see up to this point. He's done a great job creating havoc and holding point.
That sounds like a guy who is extremely excited about this guy, but didn't want to really show how excited he was. Like, he's going to try to talk in coach speak. And the fact that he's got that get off, and the fact that he can kind of beat the offensive lineman to the gap and affect the run game that way, that's something that we haven't had at LSU in a long time. Right? You haven't had that consistency. And so having those guys on the defensive line makes the conversation we just had about the offense struggling to run the ball in the red zone when you have to run it, that makes it that much more difficult, which in my head, I think that's a good thing right now. I think the offensive line –
I'll also say this too.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish. Go ahead.
No, I just like the offensive line, being new and having all these guys, like, and having to mesh and having to go against the defensive line of that caliber this every day is going to get them ready for the game one against the top 5 front 7 in the country.
Yeah. So, I guess my bad for jumping in. I just don't want you to change the subject before I said what I was going to say about him too. Is I'm listening to him talk about him, and it's obviously a guy you're grabbing out of the portal who's undersized, blah blah blah, all of that stuff. Sounds a whole lot like Drake Nevis, right?
Yep.
Undersized, he tackle quicker, strong, built to low to the ground. He can do those kind of things, and it's if you got a guy like that who you evaluated against lesser talent, right, and then now you throw him in this pool. And you're still seeing like we were right. That's how they feel. It feels like to me like they're watching him in this pool of competition and saying we were right. Like we hit on this, and they sound very excited about him because if you look at it, probably retrospect and it didn't go well. It's probably one of those where they're like, what on earth are y'all thinking here, right? And I think they feel like we found a guy that we valued at a really high clip for what he is and what he can do and how he can play and how it translates not only in the college game but to the pro level, and I think that they feel like they hit on this situation.
Correct. And you bring him in, you bring Pyburn in, you bring Jamari Butler in, and you add those guys to Relaford, you add those to McKinley, you add that to Guillory, you add that to Ahmad Bro, and now you have 8 deep on the defensive line. And so having the running game struggle early on, especially in situations where you know you have to run, I don't put too much concern in that because of the amount of talent you have on the defensive line. And when you know you're going to be running the football and everybody knows you're running the football and your quarterback, who is a Heisman finalist or front runner, is not in the game and not in practice, and you absolutely know they're running the football, 99 times out of 100, the defense is probably going to win, especially with the talent, the guys that they have, the type of talent they have on the defensive front seven. So, that was a conversation inside of what you saw, but that was the first thing you saw, right, of some of the reporting. Is there anything else that stuck out to you, Lloyd?
Oh, from practice?
From practice. I know we kind of we jumped on that, but yeah.
And it kind of continues from the same conversation because there's people trying to make predictions as to who's going to be the top 4 starters, who are you going to see, because I think this is an old way of thinking, maybe because you've been, I don't want to say spoiled, but quote unquote spoiled as having wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 at LSU, where it was wide receiver 3 even. Like you can go back from Odell and Jarvis to then you had Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and you had Malik, and then you had Malik and Brian Thomas and Kyron Lacey. And then it was just like this, okay, these are your like stars that you have. This year, to me, it feels like you have a rotating door of 8 guys that you can put at wide receiver. There's not, and that's going to be a testament to, I think this bodes well for Nuss's ability to play football. Like his ability to spread it around and be able to make good decisions and not have to force it to somebody just because this is
the hot hand at that day.
That day, I think you can see him have completions of, to 10 different receivers with 5+ completions.
Right.
Like I know you don't want to see him throw it 50 times. I'm saying that's the amount of talent that they have. You can put in Aaron Anderson, or you can put in Xavier Thomas. You can put in Barry and Brown, or you can put in Chris Hilton. Like you have a replacement for a replacement at every position. Then you have obviously the emergence of Trey'Dez Green as
who looks like a monster again. He's at what 245 now.
Right. He had to regain all of the. He was down to 218, 220 from playing basketball, and so they're like, we got to get you back to football. And so he's back, and obviously being able to do that during camp, I feel like is extremely impressive.
Without a doubt.
Hey, I'll be honest with you. When I think about that receiving core, that's where that receiving core and the offensive line for me is where my biggest questions on the team is. And I think it's funny to say that because I think a lot of people look at it like there is so much damn talent in those spots. So the way I see it, and I'm not exactly sure I'm sitting here saying that they need to have the most catches or whatever, however you want to look at it. But I really think that this team becomes all that they can be and more, especially on the offensive side, if you get legitimate consistency out of Chris Hilton, out of Aaron Anderson, and out of Trey'Dez Green. Like if those guys who have been in the offense already, not necessarily saying that they have to have the most or the best stats, but if they're playing a heavy load of snaps and you're getting legitimate consistency out of those guys, I think it allows a Nick Anderson and a Barry Brown and a Xavier Thomas, I think it allows those guys, whether they have the most touches, however you want to look at it, to work into the offense without them having to shoulder the heavy load of wherever they're the biggest things where they're switching positions and the side adjustments and the hots and all of that. If those guys can play the first three that I mentioned, if they can play to a higher level, if they can jump their game up by understanding those things and take those reps, that's where I really think that this offense becomes what they can be more. Because now you're not going to ask, you don't have to ask so much of those other guys. They can learn less, maybe fit in where they need to fit or feel most comfortable, and then you let them roll like that.
Correct. And look, Aaron Anderson last year had 61 catches for 884 yards and 5 touchdowns. That was his, I guess that was his second year in the program. So I fully expect him to have better numbers than that, because if you remember last year, he was the go-to guy. He made all the big plays. Outside of Kyron Lacey, he made obviously some big plays as well. But as far as the receivers go, Aaron Anderson was the guy on third down, contested catches, big catches. He was the guy they were looking at, and he had some really big games. And he was pretty consistent throughout. He had, his worst game was against Oklahoma. He had 1 catch for 6 yards. But, outside of that, he was pretty freaking consistent.
That's when Chris Hilton came back.
Right, and you would imagine that he takes that next level. It seems like he's going to have, he got comfortable. He's even more comfortable in the offense. And so, yeah, I agree with you. I think for LSU to get where they want to be, especially offensively, he's going to have to take the next step. Chris Hilton's going to have to be better. He's going to be more consistent. If he can be, what he looked like in the bowl game,
yeah,
obviously, LSU goes to the next level. Trey Green obviously is the game changer. He's a mismatch for everybody. And so
Nick Anderson looked really good too.
And so, yeah, I mean, to your point, Jared, like, that may be the most talented room, but outside of Aaron Anderson, you haven't seen a lot of those guys do it consistently.
No, not even Barry and Brown. Like,
right.
Just because of who his quarterback was, you didn't get a chance to see him, but you know how good he can be. And same thing I would say with, like, Xavion. I think he is, and let me know if this is way off base or not, but I think they were so focused on him and trying to fix the special teams that he didn't get enough time to really develop into a wide receiver. You saw him coming in some gadget plays, but every time he touched the ball, something good happened. But last year it was, y'all have to be able to fix the punt return, kick return game. You went out and got him, so put him back there, make sure that's first things first. Now it feels like that's taken care of. You're starting to see him make some more plays, line up more outside, line up more in the backfield. I think he's a weapon that can be totally utilized more, even though you have a room full of weapons.
Correct. I'll tell you what, LSU's return game is going to be back to what we're used to seeing.
I mean, last year it was.
I mean, last year it was. He returned a kick for a touchdown, I believe, and so did
Aaron Anderson, Oklahoma.
And Aaron Anderson did. I think they both did, right? Or a punt or kick. They had 2 touchdowns. 2 different guys had touchdowns.
What is Barry and Brown listed as height and weight wise? Anybody know?
I got
just off the top of your head, Lord? I mean, you've seen him. That's the only reason why I'm asking.
Taller than people.
5'11", 185.
Yeah, it's not the. I think he was getting.
Okay, so
go ahead.
Okay, so I'm glad I got this. Another reason why I said what I said too about this is it kind of reminds me of, and I know, listen, the NFL model is probably a little bit different, obviously, because of the hashes and how it's played in college a little bit, and how much the side to side matters in college. It matters a little bit more than it does in pro football, but I think of if I'm sitting here imagining a world where we heavily feature, and I say heavily feature, like those are the 3 guys that you look at, like they're getting the most touches. You can see they're like the number 1 on a lot of these plays. It reminds me of a Green Bay Packer type offense, if you will, right? Where you feel like you got a lot of guys who can win, but who's Trey Green? That feels like a versatile offense to me. That, like, I don't have to have 5 yards of separation to trust this 3rd and 8 throw.
Correct.
That feels like, hey, bro, put it up. He's bigger than the other guy.
I'm gonna body him out.
He's down with it.
Right.
Like that feels like a team that's like that goes. Yes, they're great. They have no problem with them, but it's really hard for me to envision top end production, especially in the SEC, if those 3 are the guys that are your top. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. No, 100%. I mean, that's just if they have the ability to do anything that you need to do offensively. They have the ability to take a top off. They have the ability to win jump balls. They have the ability to, do the end arounds, throw, tunnel screens, whatever you want to do. They have the ability to do all of it. And I think that's what makes it most exciting. And you have a 6-year senior who is extremely talented calling the shots. You know what I mean? So it's a good combination. Obviously, you have a tough first game of the season against Clemson, potentially the number one team in the country, potentially the top defense in the country, a ton of guys returning, Heisman front runner returning on their side. So it's going to be the LSU's 0-5 in their last 5 the first games of the season. This is the toughest game, I think, talent-wise, that they've faced of any of those 5 opponents. Obviously, the second game against Florida State, when they blew our doors off, we didn't really know how good they were until the end of the year. I think everybody knows how good Clemson is. I think it's going to be a tough game. You had the question before the show, Jared. Gun to our head, do we start 0-1 or 1-0? I said 1-0. What did y'all say?
You want to go, Lloyd?
Oh, yeah. And I pondered it, and then I got pressed, and then I thought about it more, and I was like, considering setting situation and who you're playing, I would not be surprised to see LSU go 0-1.
Yeah, I said I could possibly see a world. Well, I ain't possibly see a world. I think that there's a good chance they go 0-1. Now, I will say this.
Caveat.
I will say this. I truly do believe this. And I don't really know if I felt that way the past couple years when they've lost this game or going into this quote-unquote big game one opener matchup, is because of the hype that's around Clemson outside of their building and inside of their building. Like, they know they have a good team. They're returning 80+% of the starters that they had last year. They're a cohesive team. They understand each other. They got the guys back in the key positions, right? Like, you got that entire D line back, or the strength of that D line back, and it's probably one of the best, if not the best one in the country. You got a quarterback who is legitimately, unless it all goes wrong, he will be a top 3 to 5 quarterback coming out of the draft. And don't be surprised if he's towards the higher end of that, right? You got all of these things coming back. You got them playing at home game one against the team that they've never got to play against in this kind of a situation. They've never got to bring them into their home. They've always been told that, oh, y'all mentioned them as the real Death Valley, all this blah, 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 blah. There's so much hype around what's going to happen in Clemson, South Carolina that night, that for me, in a competitive game, if you walked out of there with a loss, there's no moral victories. There isn't. But at the end of the day, if that team holds up to what people think they're going to do and what people think and what people say they are, that loss, if you handle the rest of the schedule, will not blemish what you've done. The only way that you get blemished there is if you go there and you get the doors blown off you, all right? If you play a competitive ball game there, and I'm not in the building, so obviously this ain't what they're going to be saying in the building. They should be believing that they're going to go there and literally beat them 42-0. Right. That's what they should be thinking. Like, we come here to dominate. I don't know what anybody else talking about, but that's what we come here to do. I'm telling you from the outside looking in, you go there and you play a great ball game, and let's say you come up short. The entire rest of the year, you handle your business. That may actually strengthen what you've done as opposed to taking away from what you've done on the year.
Right, and look, I only one team can win, obviously, on the scoreboard. But if the game plays out like I think a lot of people think it's going to play out, whoever wins and whoever loses is going to set themselves up for whatever they need to do the rest of the season. I think it's 2 playoff teams. I think it's 2 teams that you're going to look up at the end of the year and you'll be like, damn, these are 2 of the best teams in the country. And, I don't want them to go on 1. I think that they – I'm not saying this because I'm just hoping. I really do think that they win game 1, but it's going to be last possession type of game and who makes the least amount of mistakes type of game. And it's going to be a 1-possession, 3-point, 2-point game type of thing.
Do you think that this would be viewed differently if it wasn't 0-6? Like, is there more pressure on to win because of how many openers you've lost, or because of who you're
I mean, I
playing?
think there is more pressure because you're 0-5 of the last first games of the season.
Because if you had gone,
I think you do put more pressure, but the magnitude of the game and the talent of the game, I think the hype would still be just as much.
And also, I think it works both ways because of the hype and what they've done with 1-0 and all of these things to build this game up. I do think that within a loss, that hurts you in a sense where people are going to be like, look, LSU put all of their chips in they're all in on week 1. They did all of these things, and it's the first time you're going on a true road game against a team that is by all accounts, markedly better than you. They're ranked five places higher. They could be as high as 2. LSU is between 9 and 10. But it feels like for some reason the pressure is on LSU to win the football game as opposed to Clemson, who's playing at home, higher-ranked team, returning quarterback, coach that's done it before. And instead it feels like LSU is one that has to go in there and prove it. And I think that's because more of the fact that they're looking at 0-6 in the face. If you were 2-3, this wouldn't be a storyline. But now because you can't win the first week, this becomes a massive game.
And more specifically, Brian Kelly hasn't won one since he's been
at LSU.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, Lloyd. Are you saying that the conversation changes inside of the LSU building, or are you saying that the national spin of LSU, the national scope of LSU changes if they lose?
Oh, nationally.
Yeah, I took the national from him. Like, I thought that's what he was talking about.
Because the way that they talk, I could see both, honestly.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't. I still think a lot of people look at the conference being the SEC as, when it's all said and done, if you take care of this conference, it speaks for itself. Now, when you lose early, obviously, no one really thinks at this point, a lot of people don't think you can run the table in this conference. So when you lose one early, I think it changes because people look at the schedule and they say, oh, shit, well, in 2 weeks you got Florida. You lost to them last year. You also got A&M before the end of October. You also got who else? Somebody else really good before the end of October. South Carolina before the end of October. So I think that part of it makes you look at the schedule and be like, ain't no way they're going through this thing. And I think that's why people may look at it that way. But I think at the end of it, when it's all said and done, and you literally take care of business in the SEC conference, right? If you take care of business in that schedule and obviously these other very small non-conference games that you have, the story speaks for itself. The problem is today, especially because the rosters are not as loaded as they used to be, because guys are going to go to the portal, guys are going to transfer, they're going to go different spots, they're going to take the money and go play in a different spot because they can get on the field earlier. No one thinks that anybody in the SEC has the roster to just run through it year in and year out. So, like, that's what a problem becomes in my eyes.
Yeah. No, look, I get it. I mean, it's going to be, like, to the pressure side of it, I mean, it's hard to say is there more pressure on now is because they lost other games as opposed to if you've been 2-3. I think there's going to be pressure no matter what, especially based off the team that you're playing, in my opinion.
Well, I'm just saying, like, they've built this up now.
For sure. But, like, they've built up other game ones before. You know, Oregon and all these other ones that LSU's played game one of the season.
But it wasn't for this reason.
Right. For sure. That's where I was getting at. So, I don't know. It's gonna be the best. Well, I guess you got Texas, Ohio State. What a game! What an opening weekend!
Mm-hmm.
What an opening weekend!
But I think there's more pressure on LSU than there is on Texas, Ohio State.
Yeah,
somehow.
I agree.
And look at, Jared, you talk about.
Okay. If there's anything to that, I think people look at the recency bias and says, well, what haven't you done since 2019? You haven't won an opener. Am I correct on that, or was it since 2021?
Nope, you're correct.
So people say, what have you done in the opener since 2019? You haven't won an opener. What have those seasons turned out to be? So I don't really think that there's pressure, but people just look at the recent trend of what those seasons have turned out to be, and that's what they're going to fall back to, right? Like, I don't think really people look at it like, I think everyone knows how talented this team is, but they also know how talented and how good the league is.
Right.
So it's like, if you go on the road and you lose to them early, I don't think the pressure is there. It's just that it's really hard to run the table in this league. So people basically fall off the wagon because of what the league is and what the recency bias has been, or what the recent history has shown.
Right.
So I think it's more of that than it literally is like, oh, they're not for real. Yeah. I think everybody looks at this roster and says they're for real. Yeah. But then they look at the schedule and they look at all that stuff and they're like, and you lost that one? Oh, man, that's tough.
Yeah. And look, there's a world where you go out there and both teams play really good and you lose and you look up and you're like, okay, like they are two of the top 5 teams in the country, top 10 teams in the country. And you go out there and you just take care of business and you're fine. Right. So, I think inside, I think the coaching staff knows that. The coaching staff wants to win it. The players want to win it. They want to win every game they play, without a doubt. Right. But if they lose this game, it's not like, oh, the season's over with.
Oh, that's why I'm putting this on the screen.
Yeah. The most top 25 teams of any team in the country on this preseason schedule.
And that's where I'm wondering, because, Jared, you talked about, well, you look at what happened last year and you look up, like, where did they go? A lot of that has to do with what you did week one. You don't leave yourself a lot of wiggle room because of the way the committee looks at these things. It becomes, well, how many losses did you have at the end of the year?
And it didn't help that USC stunk.
I will say this, but I will say this. I think what we saw last year, because also you can go back since 20. You can go back. Let's just go back since like 2019. Honestly, kind of a long time. I think one thing that LSU has done over the recent 20 years of football is you usually tend to see a better version of LSU at or after Thanksgiving.
100%.
Or a worse version.
And so the reason why I bring that up is because I think the way the playoffs shook out last year did a lot of help for anybody who gets off to a slow start this year. And slow meaning you just don't win a game or two early, right? I think everybody, like if you look back, just don't forget, right? Like this is the Ohio State team that lost their last regular season game to Michigan. That Michigan team was garbage. They were not good. And if the playoff situation wasn't set up the way it was last year, Ohio State plays in the Gator Bowl and nobody remembers that team.
Yeah.
But they get into the playoffs, and I think it's fair to say, bro, they were better than any team in the playoffs last year.
Well, they won it.
And it was not just won it, but like no. They won it because they beat the teams that were put in front of them. I think it's fair to say when you watch them play, out of the 12 teams that made it in, they were the best team too.
Right.
Like you didn't feel like the way they played in the playoffs, you're like, bro, ain't nobody beating them boys right now.
Yeah.
They're not beating them. And so I think that will do a lot for either one of these teams that loses in this situation, because both of these rosters are really stacked. And if you go through the year and you're able to play really strong ball, maybe you lose one more, maybe you don't. However it shakes out, I think that last year, the way this playoffs shook out, it gives a lot of, hey, we're good. And there's pressure that kind of comes off of a team because you don't feel like you have to be perfect for 3.5 months now, if that makes any sense.
Correct. Switching gears, staying on the football side, but switching gears, we talked about a lot of position groups. One position group we have not talked about yet today is the running back position. Obviously, Caden Durham is number one. Caleb Jackson / Harlem Berry, 2. They're both going to get carries. JT Lindsey was the other guy on the depth chart. He is obviously suspended from the team and dealing with his legal matters. And so because of that, Juwan Johnson, Lloyd's favorite player, is now full-time running back as of now, right, to add depth to the running back position. We talked about this last year, Jared. I like him at the running back spot. I think he's electric with the ball in his hand. Obviously, he's not the bruiser back, but he gives you a dynamic of catching the ball at the backfield and doing those types of things. And I think he's going to be more effective in that role more than the quarterback role. But I wouldn't be shocked if you saw him get some direct snaps and have some packages as a Wildcat quarterback.
Yeah, I would be curious to see how they choose to use and how they choose to deploy him. This is a kid that in high school broke damn near every notable Louisiana high school football record there was, playing quarterback, obviously, and scoring touchdowns. So I tend to think that he's probably suited best by putting the ball in his hand more. That's just me. But like you said, he's not at the top of the running back depth chart. He's obviously not going to play quarterback 3 downs. And that receiver room is deep. So it's how do you use him and how does he kind of fit into the role that it is? Because if I'm really looking at that, running back room, I feel like there's a lot of question, and I think it's legitimate question around, can Caden Durham, can Harlem Berry, can Juwan Johnson, can those guys pass pro, right? I think you look at a Caleb Jackson and physically you're like, he can for sure pass pro. But what we saw from him with the ball in his hand last year, it just wasn't what we thought we were going to see.
Right.
And that's fair to say. Everybody can say that. So the reason why I bring these things up is because until you see it on tape, until you see it on film, until you see it in a real game, you can kind of narrow down what you think may happen out of the backfield in 3rd down situations just based off of who's in the backfield.
Correct.
So that part of it kind of hampers you, it kind of handicaps you until you're able to go out there and change that narrative. We don't see those things every day. We don't know. So that's a question. To me, that's the biggest question one of the biggest questions that offense is going to face is that backfield. We need to know that whoever's in there on third down, he's a legitimate threat to do either, because that's gonna really hurt the defense in terms of how they want to play and how they want to prepare for that down.
Correct. I guess this goes hand in hand with the running back room. Do we think the offensive line's set, Lloyd, or is there still some competition there?
Yeah, you've had DJ Chester move from left guard to, I believe it was yesterday, moved to backup center, and they've used Carius Kern and Cohen Eccles both at the left guard, so they're trying to figure out that.
So they have not set their offensive line.
No, they have set your center
and your tackles.
Everything outside.
Feels like Josh Thompson's going to be a guard, right?
Yeah, that's where I think you feel good about. I wouldn't even say you have your tackle set. I would say you definitely have Braylon Moore at center. It feels like you have Tyree Adams at left tackle, and I think that the more that they've said it's set, the more they've gotten away from that. Like that, you kind of have seen what they wanted to do, who they wanted to play, and it became like before the year, it was, oh, you bring in Braylon Moore, slide DJ Chester to guard, and it's like, okay, that seems like a good plan on paper. You bring in Thompson, oh, he was a right tackle, put him at guard, and then you have, oh, Tyree Adams 5-star, put him
had
at
some
left tackle.
flashes last year.
Yeah, should be able to do it. And now the more that they're doing it, it looks like they're actively looking for more of a either competition or a result, because you do have some very skilled guys that you brought in through through recruiting that you would like to see kind of get that development that we've talked about, and that's where you're waiting on to see if a Cohen Eccles, a Carius Kern can step up and maybe play that position. Because if you remember, when Carius Kern came to campus, Brian Kelly's like, he's physically ready right now.
Yeah.
So it's just the coaching part of it. So we'll see, but I don't think any of that is set aside from maybe Tyree Adams, Thompson playing somewhere at guard, right guard. It feels
and
like
Braylon
certainly
Moore
Braylon Moore at center.
Yeah, Braylon Moore center's the slam dunk. He already announced it. He already said it.
Yeah, and he was at practice. He was. What did we look for last year that we said take something off Nuss's plate? You had Braylon Moore calling out side adjustments, pointing out Mike linebackers, like doing the center deal.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, this has to help, whether it's the offensive line or for Nuss not to have to communicate every single thing. Now you have a veteran center that's doing that for you, and that's how it should go.
Right.
When you have that symbiotic relationship with center quarterback.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the big determiner on obviously the pass pro is a huge thing for the running backs, but the running game was not consistent enough. You weren't able to get the short yardage that you wanted consistently, and having the offensive line, come together is a big thing. We've talked about that a lot. But I was just curious from what you've seen if there was some rotation, because I felt like last week they kind of knew who their starting five was, and it feels like it's kind of shuffled a little bit more, so for you to say that just kind of validates what everybody's kind of been thinking. And that's a question that we can ask Zach when he gets on the show. He's talked to these guys a lot more than we have, and he's seen those guys a lot more than we have behind the scenes, really, because we just see clips and listen to Lloyd and can't always believe what Lloyd says.
That's right.
I know you're high on
Caden Durham.
Oh no, not just Caden Durham, but on why am I drawing a blank? Our star.
Harold Perkins?
Yeah, Harold Perkins. He's been, obviously, you want to see him in game situation. We talked about that last week. Hey, you look good on practice. You look good, doing what you need to do. It's different whenever game starts.
Our star.
But it feels like, it just feels like he's a lot more comfortable. And Blake Baker had
rave reviews.
A lot to say.
Star. Yeah, I think that all three of them look really, really good. Again, we're being smart in how we manage their reps. We're listening to them. They know their body better than anybody, but they really haven't skipped a beat. Again, you really couldn't tell. Had you not known, you would not know that any three had off-season surgery. And I do. I think this is the best fit for Star. One of the things that we did after the injury is Perk and I sat down, and he's such a good young man. I asked him, what position do you want to play? He's like, whatever you want me to play, Coach. I said, no, Harold, what do you want to play? And he said, Coach, I think I'll be best at star. And so a lot of that, I do that a lot with guys, because if they believe that's their best position, they're probably going to be most comfortable there. So he looks really, really comfortable out there. Like I said earlier, he can do it all. He can cover, he can blitz. He's got great range in zone. He's kind of tailor-made for that job.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he looks like. Understanding the defense and kind of being in one position for the entire year.
Yeah, I love kind of what Blake was able to do there, Coach Baker was able to do in terms of like, hey, I love those conversations that are happening, right? And I say that because I think when you have that, for instance, I had that conversation with Coach Maneri going into my junior year. We sat in his office and he said, what do you want to play? And I told him, I don't give a damn. I just know we can win. Just put me in any three of the outfield positions. I'll play there. And he sat back and he goes, oh, thank God. I didn't know what you were going to say. I didn't know how I was going to play, but thank God that's the answer you gave me. And so I bring that up to say, if Harold's able to willingly have that conversation with him and they have that kind of a relationship, you know, from day one, he's not feeling any kind of slight. He's not feeling like, man, I feel like I should be in this spot. Man, I would rather play this spot. Man, I think I'm better doing this. No, Coach, I think I'm best doing this. Okay, and that's where we're going to put you.
Yeah, and that's good.
Have that conversation. You go. It allows him to take that position as his, right? It allows him to kind of make it his own, understand that this is the role I'm going to play, and I've been asked to play, and it's what I want to play, and I can go about it that way from and I don't have to prove like I'm doing something else. I don't have to try and ask to do something else if this ain't right or if that ain't. I think that stuff goes a long way. And so if you got a healthy, you got a confident Harold, and you're able to let Weeks play his spot and do his deal, I just think it helps that room, that position so much more in terms of how they can cohesively get along and play within the scheme together.
And you talk about players, coaches. That's a player's coach right there, Blake Baker, of being able to go out there and have that conversation. That, like you said, that puts that gives the player some accountability. Hey, this is where I want to be. He has a trust in the coach. The trust has a coach in him, or the coach has the trust in him. And so I think it's a sign of a good coach, sign of a good relationship with his guys. And I'm glad that they had that conversation because I do think that's best suited for him. But you know, we've been talking about everything that we think and see and heard and read and do whatever. Some of the stuff that we read is from this guy who's joining our show right now. He is covering LSU for Sports Illustrated. He has a lot more information than we do. And so all the questions that we've been talking about and all the conversation that we had.
I might get exposed as being full of shit.
Yeah, Lloyd, I hope you do expose Lloyd. Zach, welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, what's happening, fellas? Obviously, fall camp's in full swing, getting close to, week one at Clemson. It's getting closer by the day, obviously. So excited to talk some ball.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. Let's jump right into it. Obviously, at this point in the fall camp, there's been a lot of conversation, a lot of the same conversations. LSU fans had a huge scare last week because of, social media and how rampant that can get and rumors and all this kind of stuff. Thank God nothing happened. Thank God there was nothing serious. But from you being around the programs, you seeing kind of the behind-the-scenes stuff, give me your feel and take of this team right now and what their vibe feels like around the locker room.
Yeah, dude, I think this team's juiced for the most part. You're looking at a program right now. Obviously, the Garrett Nussmeier stuff was blown out of proportion. We know how social media can be. And you got torn ACL rumors, you got this, you got that. Obviously, he's a guy dealing with patellar tendonitis. I think a lot of athletes deal with stuff like that regularly. So this isn't something that the program's too worried about. Brian Kelly put it on a 1.5 out of 10 when it comes to kind of that scared meter. So nonetheless, kind of putting that worry aside, the team's excited. And the word that I use to describe the team is juiced. There's intensity during practice. You see Bernard Gooden and Garrett Nussmeier going at each other a little bit. Trades Green, Harold Perkins, those two going at each other on one-on-ones and 7-on-7, etc. So the team's excited, and you can tell competition's brewing on that field. There's a ton of position battles going through right now during fall camp as we get closer to the end of training camp and gearing up for week one at Clemson. So, man, they're excited. There's a ton of intensity on that field. It's an exciting time for LSU. The depth's on full display, and you can see that during those position battles.
You talk about the competition, right? And I think that's been something that's been missing over the last few years, right? The depth, the talent, having the ability to have 8 deep on the defensive line, having the ability to have 7, 8 offensive linemen that you feel comfortable putting in there if you have to. You have 8 wide receivers. Give me your assessment on the offensive line and the defensive line. Obviously, the defensive line has a little bit more experience of playing. They have some really impactful transfers. How has that competition been on the defensive line and the offensive line? How have they done? Or how has it looked them going up against each other?
Yeah, man, it's been the Bernard Gooden show. And this is a guy that I think if you're reading practice reports and seeing what a lot of guys are putting on social media, the talk of the town has been Bernard Gooden, the South Florida transfer, who obviously a little bit undersized, the guy who's hovering around 6'1", 270. So he doesn't necessarily have the size that you're looking for in the SEC, but he makes up for it with all of his power and strength in the trenches. So when you look at kind of defensive line versus offensive line, defensive line's been winning almost every single day. And it's because you're going up against inexperienced guys. Of course, like Josh Thompson's not necessarily inexperienced, but he's inexperienced in the SEC. So there's been some position battles brewing out there. You've been seeing those guys go at it in the defensive line, have their 4 set guys in there, and they're taking advantage of the offense that's rotating a bunch of guys in. So for me, defensively, they're winning the day. They're handling business time and time again. But the offensive line's starting to get in a groove, man. I can't sit here and be pessimistic about those guys. You're starting to see guys like Braylon Moore get in a groove, Weston Davis, and of course, you look at Weston Davis and Tyree Adams on the other side. Those 2 guys getting a groove. So I can't complain too much, but definitely competition brewing there. They've been jawing at each other.
Your gut feeling? Who's the starting offensive line against Clemson?
Yeah, from left to right, Tyree Adams at left tackle. Put in DJ Chester for now. You can certainly see Paul Mabenga get some reps there. That's a position battle that's really working itself out during fall camp. Braylon Moore at center. Josh Thompson, the Northwestern transfer, at right guard. And then Weston Davis at right tackle. I think that's your go-to front 5. You'll see guys get worked in like Paul Mabenga, Cohen Eccles, etc. But I think they're going to keep working with the first team that they've been navigating through fall camp.
Jared, you got one?
Yeah, I got one for you. I'm glad you're talking about how the defense seems to be dominating what they're doing. And I posed the thought earlier that, man, could this defense make another jump like they made last year, which would obviously put them in the top 20 type defense in the country? So my question to it is, with this super talented group of receivers that they have, how is that secondary look facing ones-on-ones, even like individual drills, and as they get through Pascals and as they get through team drills, like how has that secondary handled that group of receivers so far?
Yeah, man, they've been competitive. And it starts with a guy like Mansour Delane and PJ Woodland. Those 2 have definitely turned heads in my opinion. PJ specifically, man, this is a guy who's a little bit undersized and has really lived in the weight room, put on some weight, and his coverage skills are there. It was all about getting SEC ready from a health perspective. So he looks the part. I've been intrigued with him, but kind of getting down to the nitty-gritty of your question, man, they're competitive, and that's the best way to put it. You know that you have Nick Anderson, a 6'4" specimen. You got Barry and Brown, a quick, twitchy speedster who can beat somebody over the top. But the defensive backs are not backing down from this competition whatsoever. And you're seeing it with guys like Ashton Stamps, who continues to get a little bit overlooked, in my opinion, even though he's running with the first team. Everybody's kind of ready to push him out the door and put in DJ Pickett, put in PJ Woodland, Jakeem Jackson from Florida. But he's holding his own. And he talked about it yesterday when he was talking to the media, just about how he's ready to kind of not necessarily shut down quote-unquote haters, but really just play sufficient football for LSU, which is what he's wanted to do his whole life. So, man, you're seeing competition. You're seeing these guys not back down. One-on-ones are fun. I mean, you got a ton of guys who can make plays, and they've been showcasing that during fall camp. They're not backing down at all. I keep it PG. They're not backing down at all.
Let me ask you this: staying with the secondary, talk about the cornerbacks. I think the group that a lot of people haven't really talked about, and I think that's a good thing because of how good they have been, and it's not. I don't think people think of it as a question mark. But over the last couple of years, the back end of the secondary, the safeties position, has been very unstable. Right? They've missed a bunch of tackles. They've been out of position a lot. They've been beat over the top. They just haven't really felt like LSU safeties. It feels like this year's a little different. It feels like the 2 guys you have are bona fide stars at that position. Have you seen that so far in camp?
Yeah, Mike, I think you're a better man than me for saying unstable, because for me, abysmal is the word that I would use to describe the safety room last year, man. Major Burns and Jordan Gilbert just weren't getting the job done last year. And so fast forward to the transfer portal, and you see them go out and get a surefire tackler into Marcus Cooley, and then Yano's in the mix. Jordan Gilbert's taking a lot of reps at the star position. So for me, when it comes down to it, the safety room looks a ton better. I don't think you can get much worse than last year, man. It was a challenge over there. And it's not a knock on Major Burns and Jordan Gilbert specifically, but just the defensive backfield as a whole wasn't fundamentally sound. So now you kind of take steps in the right direction during fall camp right now. and you're starting to see your two guys in A.J. Halsey and Tamarcus Cooley really man that unit at the last level of defense. A little bit of Javian Toviano, and one of my favorites, Deshaun Spears, man. I have a ton of hype for him. I'm really hoping that he can take that next step. He has all the physical tools, just about getting a little bit more physical and throwing his head in the fire when it comes to SEC play.
Jay.
I want to flip it back to the offense a little bit, and for me, when the big question I've had in my head, we kind of talked about it a little bit already, so I want another perspective of eyes that's been on this a little bit more. But I think about third down right now, and I think about if Chris Hilton has ascended and he's healthy and he's a huge part of this offense, you expect him to play a lot. If Aaron Anderson takes another step forward, you expect him to play a lot. You're also looking at guys like Nick Anderson and think you would have to imagine he's got to be a part of this, but you would also have to imagine so does Trey'Dez. But when I think about the backfield and how do you put this together in the backfield in terms of pass pro, out and pass routes, somebody that's going to keep the defense honest, how have you seen them kind of deploy the backfield when they deal with maybe the third down or Pascal, like just things where you can see them actually working the pass game? How have they done with dealing with the backfield?
Really replacing Josh Williams, if you're being honest, right? Because that's kind of Josh Williams' role last year was they trusted him in that pass protection.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right on the money, Mikey. I mean, for the most part, Caleb Jackson's been a guy who, in my opinion, I don't think this is a knock on him in the slightest, but I think that this is a player who could take on a little bit of a Noah Cain-like role. That was a Penn State transfer from a couple years back who was used more as a power back, can be solid in pass pro. So for me, Caleb Jackson has really taken on a lot of third down reps during fall camp. I'm not sure that's the best comparison in the world, kind of working with what I can there. But from a size perspective, man, Caleb's strong. He's fundamentally sound. He can make those plays. And in third and short, that's a guy that you can put on the field to make a play. He's a savvy veteran. So in those plays in the backfield, for me, man, it's been a lot of Caleb Jackson from my perspective to kind of get back there and navigate pass pro.
Zach, give me a guy that has been performing. You talked about P.J. Woodland. I think that's a guy that not a lot of people have really been talking about. Give me somebody that has kind of gone under the radar that you would not be shocked to kind of break out this year and be a guy that LSU can really count on.
He wants you to say Kyle Parker.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
I hate to, I don't want to be that guy, man, because I'm going to say Kyle Parker, and I feel like everybody's talking about him a little bit now. He's kind of put on the map.
I've been talking about him for 2 years.
He's been the beneficiary of Aaron Anderson missing time. He's been getting a ton of first-team run. This is a guy who carved up the high school scene in Texas. I mean, he dominated. Obviously got to Baton Rouge, got some run in his first year. A player that got hurt last year with that tricep injury. But he's coming into his own, man. This is a player that I think Kyle Parker is going to see a ton of run this year. I think he's going to get a ton of reps. Man, I don't want to sit here and sound like everybody else and talk about Kyle Parker, but that's been my standout guy. He's, like I said, been a beneficiary of Aaron Anderson missing time over the last 10 days. So that's a guy that I think is going to make some plays for this team. And then another one, a flip into the defensive backfield. I got to ride with Deshaun Spears. I think this is a guy who's going to make plays. I really do. Mikey, I think he's a player. He's long, he's lanky, he fits that typical Corey Raymond secondary type guy. Jake Olson has been working his tail off during practice to get him right. So for me, I think the talk of the town is Tamarcus Cooley, and it's going to be A.J. Halsey, rightfully so, because those are two gamers, man. Those are the ones that you want to fall back on, your veterans. But I think Deshaun Spears is going to get a ton of run this year as well. I think he's going to have to put it all together. He's got a little bit of time before SEC play starts. But for me, when I'm looking at two guys that are flying under the radar that can make an impact in 2025, it's going to be Kyle Parker and Deshaun Spears.
Do you see DJ Pickett sliding in the starting role by the end of the year?
Yeah, I do. This is a freak. It's the best way to describe it, man. 6'5", 190 pounds. The coverage skills are there. It was about hitting the weight room and really attacking that to put on some size, and he's done that. He's put on 20 pounds of muscle. I think this is a player that you can't keep off the field. You have a loaded cornerback room, obviously with Mansour Delane, Ashton Stamps, P.J. Woodland, Jakeem Jackson. But DJ Pickett's the guy with the most upside, and you got to throw him in the fire and allow him to get his feet wet. So I fully expect DJ to be a player that's in a starting capacity by the time the season ends. He's just too talented to keep off the field.
Lloyd, you got one?
Yeah, when you get back to the offensive side, and obviously I was kind of saying this earlier in the show, is that it feels like they have almost 8 deep at wide receiver, if I were to ask you, what do you think that snap count would kind of look like whenever you look through it? Like, would it be very much tightly dispersed, or is there 4 guys that you think are for sure going to get the lead amount of snaps in a football game?
Yeah, man. I think you got a ton of gadget guys that you can work with, like a Xavier Thomas, who you can line him up in a bunch of different spots to get the ball in his hands. Same thing goes for Barry and Brown. And then, of course, Nick Anderson's a player who's really starting to burst on the scene now. He was starting to kind of come into his own last week and carried the momentum into this week as he continues to get fully healthy. So when you talk about snap counts, Lloyd, it's going to be hard. You got a ton of mouths to feed there. But talking to Barry and Brown yesterday, that the expectation is that all these guys eat. They've talked about it time and time again. Nobody's trying to steal reps from each other. It's really about all of them being able to make plays for the team. I think Aaron Anderson's going to be your go-to guy. Nick Anderson is going to get a ton of rep as well. And then Chris Hilton, if he stays healthy, is going to be a big-time weapon for this team. So those are the first 3 that I'm really looking at. Utilize Xavier Thomas in a kind of a gadget-like role, and then the rest will kind of play into its own. You got a lot of guys to talk about, man. It's hard for me to kind of pick and choose, but when I talk about 4 or 5 receivers that are going to get a ton of run, it starts with Aaron Anderson, Nick Anderson, Barry Brown, Chris Hilton, and others moving forward.
Jared.
How do you view this game as the season opener? How do you view what can happen and what it means towards the rest of the year in a win and in a loss as well? Like, how do you view this game?
Yeah, man, I was listening to y'all talk a little bit before about it. So I was picking your brain, listening to your perspective on that as well. And I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. As long as you don't go into Clemson and get your bell rung, you're fine. You're fine. Yeah. The rest of it will play itself out in SEC play and so on. If you can go in there and compete, you're going to be just fine. But it's a strength on weakness type of approach for me. The defensive line for Clemson is unbelievable. And we've seen that in a ton of the NFL mock drafts. They have a ton of experience. It's been the talk of the town there. And then LSU's offensive line's been a little bit questionable. So for me, it's a strength on weakness. It's a challenge for LSU moving forward. But kind of staying onto that question, man, as long as you go in there and you compete and you keep your head held high, I think you're going to be just fine if you go in there and lose. But I don't want to put that type of mojo into the air. I think LSU has the talent. We know that. It's just about getting that offensive line right. I think the offensive line is going to get you as far as you can this year. Games are won and lost in the trenches. I know the cliche is what it is, but this season it's truly going to be on full display. So I think as long as you handle business and stay competitive, keep your head up, even if you lose at Clemson, man, you're going to be in a good position to compete all year long and punch a ticket to the college football playoff.
I might be looking too much into this, but with all the conjecture around the SEC by the other conferences where they're clearly taking shots, and this is where all the playoff model and all of the things that they want to be able to get their conference in, the SEC is overrated. Do you think that plays a part in LSU's venture down into the playoff if they drop a game to Clemson and then maybe drop 2 conference games and they have 3 losses? It feels like that's been the conversation, like 3 should probably get you in the SEC, but with all of the shots taken at the SEC, do you think that bears weight in the committee's mind at some point this year?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think when you look at the Big Ten and so on, these guys don't want a 3-loss SEC team in the playoff. But to me, a 3-loss SEC team is worthy of making it into the college football playoff. And I know that's SEC bias.
I just can't get Penn State's schedule out of my head.
But when you sit back and you look at the schedule, man, like you go on the road to Bama, you go on the road to Ole Miss, etc. I mean, these games are ridiculous. Even going to Norman, Oklahoma, I don't think that team's one to sleep on heading into the year as well. I love John Mateer. I know, man, he's been circling kind of on social media and whatnot. Man, it's hilarious. It is what it is, dude. Like, this guy's a gamer. I expect him to dominate this year as well. So, yeah, man, to answer your question, Lloyd, I think a 3-loss SEC team, they make it in the college football playoff. It's just a strategic approach for me, man. You got to lose those games a little bit early. It's all about how you finish the season and stuff. So, to answer and keep it short and sweet, man, a 3-loss team should get in the college football playoff. LSU schedule's a gauntlet. I know y'all were talking earlier, man. Look at the preseason AP top 25 teams that this program faces. I mean, it's ridiculous. So, yeah, I think there is a ton of chatter on the outside. The Big Ten, other conferences have been talking a lot of smack, but keep it short and sweet. I think if you're a 3-loss SEC team, you're good to go.
Switching back to the players, we've talked about pretty much every position group except for one, and they obviously have one of the biggest mismatches on the team in Trey Green. He's gained some weight. He looks really good. 6'7", 245. I mean, he is a mismatch for cornerbacks, a mismatch for anybody on the field, right? But there's another tight end that came in there, has been getting rave reviews, and Bauer Sharp. How do you see Brian Kelly, and how do you see this offense utilizing both of those guys?
Yeah, Mikey, I think it's going to be a ton of 12 personnel within the offense.
Yeah.
Get both those guys on the field at the same time and allow it to play itself out. I think Bauer Sharp is a gamer. For me, when we're talking about fall camp standouts, I kind of want to not talk about Bauer as much because I've done too much kind of sunshine pumping when it comes to him. So I kind of try to take my foot off the gas there. But he's been an off-season winner. This is a player who's going to make big-time plays for this team. I know Oklahoma's offense a year ago wasn't all that talented, but nonetheless, man, at the tight end position to still lead the team in receptions and receiving yards is a pretty impressive feat in the SEC. So I think Bauer Sharp's a stud. Man, me and Mike Scarborough were talking a lot about how it seems like he has stick-em on his hands because he just doesn't drop the ball ever. Every time it comes to him, he's reeling it in and making a highlight reel play. So I think Bauer Sharp's going to make a ton of plays this year, but it's Trey'Dez Green's room. This is a 6'7", 245-pound monster like you talked about. Him and Garrett Nussmeier are really starting to get some rapport down. You're starting to see that on full display. You saw it in the bowl game against Baylor, but they've really carried that momentum into the offseason as well. And in the fall camp, it's really starting to show itself. The catch radius is ridiculous, and Garrett Nussmeier knows that wherever he wants to put it, Trey'Dez is going to go to that second floor and make the play. So I think you're going to see a ton of 12 personnel. I think you're going to see Bauer Sharp have his hand in the dirt a ton. Trey'Dez Green be more of that pass catcher. It's kind of a casual take. I think everybody knows that Trey'Dez is kind of a receiving threat there.
Right.
But for me, you're going to see both of those guys make a ton of plays, Mikey. I'm excited to see how it pans itself out, but that's a strong spot on this offense to have two really talented SEC players and two really talented SEC playmakers be on the field at the same time.
How has Trey'Dez's development been at the end of the line of scrimmage, obviously blocking and having to block some of the best edge rushers in the league?
Yeah, he talked about that yesterday, and obviously blocking isn't necessarily something that he enjoys doing, but with Alex Atkins at the helm of the tight end room and really being a run game coordinator as well, he knows how important it is for Trey'Dez to be able to put his hand in the dirt and block. When we were sitting there talking to him, man, he got up, stood up, and stretched and showed that he has that bend and the ability to really kind of get all over the place and be quick and twitchy as kind of an offensive lineman kind of threat there from a blocking perspective. So he's developing. It's not his favorite thing to do. He wants to catch the ball and make those highlight reel plays. But nonetheless, he's still evolving in that facet of the game. And having Bauer Sharp be your mentor really helps in that area as well. So he's still developing. He's still improving. Not necessarily a strong suit quite yet. Making those highlight reel plays is his bread and butter. But he's talked about how he wants to continue to improve in that area. And you're starting to see that during fall camp as well.
2 weeks left of football. 2 weeks left until the first football game of the season. Obviously, a lot more hype will be had over these next 17 days. A lot more conversations, and hopefully a lot more conversations with you. Zach coming on our show, giving us the inside scoop on what's going on behind the scenes. We appreciate you, dude, as always. Thanks for coming on the show. Looking forward to having more conversation as the season progresses.
Yeah, my man, I appreciate it. Season's right around the corner. Obviously, a big-time season for LSU. Let's get back on the show and talk some more ball soon.
No doubt, man. Have a good night.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you guys.
Vibes are high.
Should be.
Vibes are high, and they should be. This is a time where everybody's in a good spot. Everybody's in a good mood. Vibes are high. Said a lot of things that we kind of anticipated, that we've kind of been seeing and hearing on our end. Nice to get some validation from him. From somebody who kind of sees it daily. So he didn't really say anything that really shocked me. Deshaun Spears is a name that he threw out there, which I kind of like because everybody was very high on him when he got in here, especially when he started playing early on. Didn't really put it together. Hopefully with some veteran guys that are good in the back end of the secondary, he's learned some things and he's kind of taken his game to the next level. Going to be interesting to see how he rotates in. Hopefully he can be, reach the potential that he has.
Well, if you think about it, without the transfer portal, P.J. Woodland would be starting. Deshaun Spears would be starting.
Right. And
so, this is why obviously they had a need, they felt, to go in and add to, but it only makes these guys better. And P.J. Woodland has been everywhere in
Everybody's
practice.
been talking about him.
Yeah, it's impossible to ignore. He's not the biggest guy.
Well, they said that last year, too. The competitiveness is there. Yeah. It's just now as he's gotten bigger and stronger, more experienced.
Yeah, like you said, he's a Corey Raymond corner where he's not tall but long, and he's not heavy, but he can still run and he competes. He's got a little dog in him.
Well, if you look at last year, there was a lot of times where he had the coverage, but he wasn't strong enough to fight through the contact and make the play and get and break up the pass or separate the man from the ball. And so, he was there, but he just wasn't quite there.
Yeah, I hope he gets playing time, and I hope he sticks through it because I think he'd be really, really good at some point.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I love about this 2025 version of LSU? And it sounds a whole lot like old versions of LSU. And honestly, it's something that's so damn hard to do in 2025, not only in the SEC, but across the country. It sounds like there is a ton of roster position-to-position depth on this roster. Where you're not sitting here saying, oh my God, man, if Ashton Stamps goes down like Woodland, I don't know if he's big enough yet. Oh my God, if we don't have Harold, what are we going to have? Oh my God, man, I really hope the freshman Caden can step up because nobody else has kind of done it yet. Like there's so much depth on this roster where you look at it and you like, via injury, underperformance, whatever it may be, you have someone that can give you adequate replacement to that spot that goes down, and you feel good about that. So like it is hard to create that in today's day and age of college football, and it feels like this LSU lineup has a lot of that. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say across the board, every position that you're 2, maybe 3 deep. That's old school stuff. I don't know if you actually have that. But when I look around, like this lineup has depth, and it has a lot more than the past few LSU lineups have had.
No, 100%. And that's I think that's been the highlight of camp is like, damn, okay. They've finally 4 years later they've replenished the roster.
Yeah, and this is moves that they didn't make last year.
Right.
They didn't go out and get every player that you could have gotten in the portal. And now that they have, it's like this is the
But the beauty of it is they got those guys, but they kept guys behind them to develop. You know what I mean? Like they didn't lose everybody they didn't lose a PJ Woodland, they didn't lose a Deshaun Spears, they didn't lose some of these guys that you need to have whenever these guys are gone.
Right.
Right? And that's the big difference.
Yep. That's the sauce. And it won't happen every time, but I'm glad it's happening now.
No doubt.
And you'll see, like you can't say you've I guess gotten retention from them for next year, but you certainly have them this year.
Right.
Like if they don't play at all, which I don't think will be the case, but at some point, like I'm good enough to play. I got leapfrogged twice. Like if they go back into the portal to go get another player, it's like, all right, I'm leaving.
You're not going to have the guys aren't going to play 100% of the snaps defensively.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? Like it's just not going to happen. So, yeah, it's a good spot to be. They haven't been there in a while, so it's just builds excitement for the beginning of the season. All right.
You think John Mateer's going to be around to see it?
I think he is.
Just a perfect
Listen
crime.
to me. If you are that dumb to post on Venmo,
you are.
Sports gambling.
He is.
You think that's real? You think it was sports gambling?
Yeah, absolutely.
Prove it.
That's what I'm saying. It's a perfect crime.
Prove it.
You can't.
What a dummy. Sports gambling. Like, that's what you're going to type in?
Uh-huh. Inside joke.
I know they're young and they're kids. I don't know if I believe that that's what that one really was. I'm just going to be honest.
Oh, you don't think he was sports gambling?
I
don't
don't.
I don't
really
either.
don't.
I don't either.
I really don't. I find it real hard. And, like, it's a quarterback, too, right? And a quarterback that's been trusted in a couple different systems that's moved to a couple different schools. Where it's like, you obviously know guys like that have, like, brain capacity. And for you to put it on something like that as public and not even say, hey, I'm just going to pass this money through here knowing that it is sports gambling, like I'm going to actually write sports gambling as well, I find that hard. Of course, when it comes out to be something, yeah, they're going to go and delete it. Like, that doesn't surprise me either. But I find it really hard to believe that that's what that was. I just do. Now, if it is, that proves even more to me like, damn, kids are dumb. But I find it hard to believe that that's what this was.
I agree. Which brings us perfect segue into our mistake of the day.
Yes.
Brought to you by Lloyd.
Brought to you by me. Mistake of the day. I found this one yesterday, so I felt like sometimes I'd take it down to the wire, like not good enough, not good enough. This one was elite. He is okay. I know people sometimes care about that. But you have a man that wins his first race, and I believe he's in the Mobile One victory lane. Connor something or other. But this is him celebrating victory lane right after he wins his first race in NASCAR.
7 career wins. Let's go down to
Can't get out.
Oh, he can get out. Just not all the way.
Oh,
Boom!
Oh, shit.
Knocks himself out.
Oh, my God. What? That's a great mistake of the day. I mean, oh, my God.
He had to go to the hospital, and he woke up from anesthesia with a fall risk, and he's like, the jokes just keep coming.
Wow. That's a tough situation right there.
It is. You mean
The highest point of your career to the most embarrassing point of your career.
well, at least knocked me out. So I'm like, oh, is it as bad as I thought? Like, no, dude.
Damn.
You see it, you're like, oh my god.
Damn, that's tough.
So.
All right. Well, hey, congratulations on the win.
Congratulations.
On being on our mistake of the day. Lloyd, curtain call.
His official statement. Now that I know I'll be all right, it's gonna be tough to make a comeback from his generational aura debt. Dang, at least I won.
Hey, good sport about it.
Yeah, had to be. And curtain call is a cool one, just because LSU is in the air. You obviously have a lot of LSU wide receiver U, and then with the tragic passing of Kyron Lacey, there's been Malik Neighbors doing a shout out, which is he has custom thigh pads made, which I thought was really cool.
That is pretty cool.
So curtain call to Malik, who always seems to be ride or die for LSU, and obviously he and Kyron were very close. I thought this was a cool homage that isn't too showy, but lets you know that he cares.
Love that. Jared, you got one?
You're muted.
Muted.
I said I do not.
Well,
We're in the dead of this whole summer thing going on right now, so I haven't. I don't have one right now.
I got one.
I mean,
That's a great one.
I got one. I'm gonna put this in the chat right now. Look, it's football season. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It's here. But baseball is still going on. It's about to be playoff season.
Oh, is it Shohei?
No, that is another. That could have been a mistake of the day.
I don't even know what he did. But it can be
You can
good.
refresh this.
I got
You can refresh it. So, my curtain call is to, and I love these stories because I think they're freaking awesome, and it's a testament of perseverance. But Twins rookie Ryan Fitzgerald, 31-year-old rookie, played 9 years in minor league baseball. I don't know how many at bats. I don't know how many games, but it was a ton. Finally got the opportunity to get. Yeah, awesome. Awesome.
Did you see this? Another baseball. I thought this is what you were going to do, but this is much more
The
of a
Shohei?
curtain call. No. This is one of the craziest things I've seen in baseball.
The one-handed swing.
Yes.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Like, bottom hand drill.
Crazy.
Like, he slapped the shit out of it.
Yeah. RBI, wasn't it?
Yeah, it is 0-0 count. He could have just taken it. Fuck it.
It's a fair ball.
No need for the head first slide at home, though.
I don't know. I literally don't understand why he did that at home, but that's impressive.
Bottom of the first inning,
That's
too.
right.
I think he stole and ran and saw it. I don't know. It might have been closer. But
Is it a cutter too? Looks like it was a little cutter.
this is so funny. Oh no! Here it makes baseball seem easy. It's not.
That's impressive.
It is.
That's impressive. All right. It's good to be back. It's good to be back. We missed y'all. I missed y'all. I'm glad we're back in the saddle. Back live next Monday.
Yeah. I say all this to say this.
Listen, next Monday, now we ramp up for football season. I think week 0 is next weekend. And so we will be having a lot of conversation about football. Obviously, the closer the playoff season gets for baseball, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But we're happy to be back. We appreciate the love and support. I know it was probably you haven't seen us and we haven't been consistent. And so I'm going to forgive everybody who didn't show up today on our show. But we're excited about it. We're excited about football season. We'll be back here live Monday from 6 to 8-ish. We appreciate y'all. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you can't watch us, but you like listening to us. We're anywhere you get your pods. We appreciate y'all. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday night. See you on Monday. Peace.
Peace. Baseball. Football. Basketball.
Sports.
Sport.